Well, hello Rockhounds, Lapidary lovers, Mike here. Welcome back to my channel. Welcome back to the Tumbling Station. And today we're going to deal with this 6-pound tumbler up here in the middle, back on the high-capacity rock tumbler there. That is ready. Should be anyway. I started it before I went to Tucson. I was gone for 2 weeks, been back for a week. Yeah, it's been in polish a long time. And if I remember correctly, there's some really pretty rocks in there. So, yeah, I think it's probably done. So I'm going to do my usual thing. I will dump this tumbler out into a colander, rinse the rocks off really, really well. We'll take a look at them, a preliminary look at them over at the workbench, and give them an ultrasonic cleaning. Then dry them off. Take them in the studio and have a close-up look at them and see just how good a job I did. So stay tuned for that. Let me get busy on that tumbler. Meet you over at the workbench. Alrighty, here's the rocks out of the tumbler drum and rinsed off to get the polish off of them as much as I can anyway. They're all going to get an ultrasonic cleaning. I'm going to keep them wet until then so that they don't dry out and the polish doesn't dry on them, because it's very hard to get off once it dries on. Look at this agate. Look at this. That is nice. I'm pretty sure I found this one when I was out looking for new rockhounding sites in Arizona. Got a scratch in it. That's part of a crack. I see it now, but okay. But otherwise, it's turned out very, very nice. That is quite pretty. All right, into the ultrasonic tank with it. This is an interesting piece of banded iron formation. I've never seen one that looks like this before. It looks like it's got crystals in it. And then you got some Jasper, and then this whole side here. I don't know if that's hematite or what. I guess we'll find out when it's nice and cleaned up. Some Arizona rainbow petrified wood. Beautiful. And some more. Some Montana moss. I got a lot of pieces of Montana moss in here. There's some heels I cut off. Look at the moss in that. That's cool. Here's a big agate Montana moss, or just Montana, as my friend Jim says. What do we got here? Oh, yeah, this is some Teepee Canyon. This is a piece of Teepee Canyon agate that I decided to tumble. We'll see how that turns out once it's dry. I don't know, that texture doesn't feel so good. We'll see what it looks like once it's cleaned up and dry. I think that's more Arizona petrified wood, but I'm not 100% positive. Could be some kind of agate, but I'll bet it's petrified wood. I've got a lot of petrified wood here. Here's another piece. Some more. Let's see. This is not banded iron formation. This is banded Jasper. Okay. But this is banded iron formation. Huh. Some of these just don't feel so smooth. Considering how long they've been in polish, that's kind of weird. And I wouldn't have put them in polish until I thought they were ready for polish. So I don't know what's going on here. We'll see what they look like when they are done, cleaned up, and dried out. That's more banded iron formation. So is that. I think that's Graveyard Point Plume. I think that's a little slice of Graveyard Point Plume. Some more Arizona petrified wood. I've got a chip in it at some point. This stuff was in polish for a long time because I started it before I went to Tucson for the Gem Mineral Show. I'll put a link to the show playlist in the upper right. You can check that out if you like. And then this was spinning the whole 2 weeks I was gone, and it was probably already ready to come out of polish. So I don't know. Maybe some damage was done. I don't know, from the excess time spinning. I'll tell you what. The drum looked like it was low on water when I got back. So maybe some of the liquid leaked out of the drum, and the rocks was just sort of banging against each other for the last couple of weeks. I don't know. Here's an interesting looking agate. Yeah, this doesn't feel very smooth at all. I don't know. I'm not sure what we're going to find when these are cleaned up and dried out. I'm pretty sure that's petrified wood. Uh, Actually, no. You know what? I know what that is. That is chalcedony that we find in little fault lines in the Nebraska Badlands. That's what that is. I remember that pattern. I saw that and I said, I'm going to pick that up. We go out there fossil hunting every year. In fact, we're about to go again in a couple of months. I picked that up. I said, I look at that pattern on there. Let me tumble this and see how it turns out. And sure enough, that turned out pretty nice. As long as it's nice and smooth once it gets cleaned up and dried out. I can put a link to the fossil hunting playlist up in the upper right too if you want to check that out. We do that every year. It's a blast. Here's a very pretty agate I got from my buddy Jim. Ooh, what is the name of this type of agate? Tip of my tongue. Anyway, something's not right here. Do we have another not quite right batch? I don't know. I think some of these were smoother before they went into polish. Something went wrong. Some sort of colorful agate Jaspery cherty nodule. Probably overloading my ultrasonic cleaner, but that's okay. Petrified wood again. Oh yeah, this is an interesting chert nodule I found out in Arizona when I was rockhounding out there. It's okay. Some more petrified wood. Oh yeah, look at that wood grain in that. Nice. More Montana agate. More Graveyard Point plume, I'm pretty sure. We got some Mookite. Oh, that came out nice. The Mookite I have found is pretty idiot proof. This stuff's pretty easy to tumble and get a good shine on. So, it's a good place to start if you're starting out tumbling. Oh, wow. Look at the pattern in that. Kind of agate. Again. Oh, that's got some media in it. I'll have to pick that out. But yeah, you see how translucent that is? That's some kind of agate there. That's probably a piece of it that broke off at some point. That is some more TP Canyon. That is a chunk, and it's a rough chunk, so it broke up at some point. I'm wondering if one or two of these rocks breaking up released some particles that made some of the others not so smooth. Here's some more petrified wood. Beautiful petrified wood. I remember where I got that in Arizona. That was at a little rock shop in Holbrook. Some more banded iron formation. There's little pieces in here. Some of these, I'm sure, are shards that broke off at some point. Yeah, some of them are a little rough, so I don't think that break happened too long ago. Hey, look at this. This Montana agate broke. Something happened to this batch. Every once in a while, something will just go sideways with a batch. And I think we might be a little sideways with this one. All right. We'll find out. Let me get the ultrasonic going and get them good and cleaned up. Then I can dry them out and look at them in the studio under good lighting. All right, so here we are in the ultrasonic. Yeah, I think I overloaded it a little bit. Maybe I'll just run it a little longer than I usually do. Put some Dawn dishwashing detergent in there. And crank it up. And get all of the polish out of the nooks and crannies. I can see it starting to come out places. Oh yeah, I'm sure this water will be quite cloudy after I run these. I normally run them for about 45 minutes. I may run these for an hour or so just because I've really overloaded the basket there. But yeah, the water's starting to get cloudy. I see streamers of polish coming off the rocks in there. So it's working. All right, so after these had a good long run, I will give them a good rinse and dry them out, and we'll look at them in the studio and see what worked and what didn't with this batch, because it's looking like some of these might not be so nice. I'm wondering if, yeah, liquid might have leaked out of the tumbler drum while I was gone for so long. And then the rocks just banged against each other dry. That's possible. It happens. All right, so I've got an empty tumbler drum. Let's fill it up with some stuff. A nice piece of tiger eye. This has already been through rough. It's been smoothed out nice. You can see the chatoyancy in it, especially if I get it wet. So let's get that in there. That needs to go through the other stages. Here's some sort of Jasper agate. Oh, there's one with some color to it. Oh, I know what this is. This is half of a Swazi agate. That's right. So I cut this Swazi agate in half. I face polished one half of it, and it had this red-brown crust on it. And I thought, well, okay, I'll face polish this piece, and I'll tumble the other half. Look at the other half. Once you tumble that red-brown crust off, it's blue, which is kind of cool. What do we got here? This looks like maybe some, this is, I think, a slice of dendritic agate I got from my buddy Jim. Some kind of rock. It might be banded iron or banded jasper. Hard to tell when they're dry. Got some crazy lace here. Crazy lace agate. Let's see. There's some banded iron. There's some banded iron. That's a piece of a Moroccan agate. I cut it and it was just so fractured I figured there wasn't anything I could do with it, so I broke it up into smaller pieces to tumble. So that's coming out. I think that is some colorful chert from Wyoming I found. Petrified wood, Arizona rainbow petrified wood. Again, I think that's Arizona petrified wood. Some kind of colorful, really colorful Jasper agate. You should see this wet. It's really colorful. So hopefully it will be that colorful once it is polished. Some more banded iron, some more petrified wood. Some kind of agate. Not sure what or where I got it. Banded iron. Yeah, I've got a whole bucket over here full of rocks that have been through stage one and need to go on. So some more banded iron. That one's probably too big. Banded iron again. A lot of banded iron in here. What else do we got? Some sort of colorful something. Some more petrified wood. Petrified wood. Some interesting jasper I found in Wyoming. It's actually a little bit greenish, although it's not showing too green right now. That's banded iron, which really, really folded and deformed. That's some banded jasper. Some sort of half of an agate nodule. I cut it in half, decided to tumble it. More banded iron. There's going to be a lot of banded iron in this load. This one's going to have a lot of Swiss cheesing on this side, but I think it's going to be really pretty everywhere else once it's polished. Some kind of agate. Might be, no, not sure. I thought carnelian at first, but I'm not sure. There's another Montana agate. Look at the moss in that. Dendrites. Cool. It's got a fracture in it. It might break in half, but we'll risk it. Look at the color in that. Now you should see these wet. These are all going in dry. So that they may not look too impressive, but trust me, they are. Here's some Wyoming petrified wood. A piece of a limb. And we're getting pretty full here. I want to just throw in a few small pieces. Some more Arizona petrified wood. Ditto. Another piece of banded iron. Boy, we're going to be loaded with banded iron in this one. Not sure. It looks pretty plain on this side, but it's got a lot of red on this side, so I'm not sure what it is. And I think we're probably going to stop there. By the time I get media in this, I think we're going to be full enough. So let me find some media to put in there. I've got some here, but I think it needs a little bit more. This stuff breaks down over time and gets small. Oh yeah, we need more media. Let me go find some more media. Since this load is mostly agate and agatized petrified wood, I'm going to use some agate chips I got from my buddy Jim as media. I think agate is probably the best media for tumbling agate. It works really well. All right, let me get some water in there. Get the rest of this stuff in there. Let's see, not too much though. Right about an inch below the top. All right, let me go find my 220 grit. And we'll put some in. All right, so I got my 220 grit here. This is a 6-pound tumbler drum. I'm going to put in 6 heaping teaspoons of 220 grit. All right. Then we'll seal it up and get it spinning again and check on it in about 2 weeks and see if these rocks are ready to move forward. I'm going to keep an eye on this particular drum to make sure it is not leaking, because it was a little dry in there when I opened it up. But, you know, it was spinning for over a month. There were a lot of temperature changes, so maybe moisture just squeezed out of it a little over time until it was pretty dry. All right, I need to relabel that. It's not polish anymore, and get it spinning again. And then deal with the stuff in the ultrasonic cleaner. It's about done. Much longer than I normally leave stuff in. What's today's date? Today is February 28th. My goodness, I lost track of time on this batch. No wonder some of the liquid could have leaked out. All right, onto the tumbler with it. And then the stuff in the ultrasonic cleaner is just about done. I will pull it out, rinse it, dry it, and take it inside, and we'll have a look at it under the studio lights. All right, here we are in the studio. The rocks have been ultrasonic cleaned and dried off, and we're ready to take a close-up look at them. And it's a bit of a mixed bag. It's not nearly as bad as I feared it was when we were outside at the workbench. Yeah, we've got some problems with this batch, but we got a lot of pretty rocks in here that turned out pretty darn nice. And we've got a few problem rocks. So, right here on top, Montana agate. Look at the moss in that. It took a pretty good polish. Yeah, the harder agates in here, they all seem to fare pretty darn well. I mean, it's not my best polish ever, I'll admit that, but it's a pretty darn good polish on that Montana moss agate right there. And in fact, pretty much most of the Montana moss agates took a pretty good polish. This one's got a slight dullness to it. We'll talk about what might have caused this here in a little bit. But yeah, the harder agates and fully agatized petrified wood, they fared pretty well. They did pretty well. Here's a piece of petrified wood over here. Yeah. That did okay. Very pretty. Nice colors. Here's a piece down here. Yeah. Believe it or not, this is petrified wood. You can see the wood grain on this side of it. I mean, it looks like a very colorful agate here. And it is, you know, it's even got some moss in it. And it's definitely turned into agate, but it started out as petrified wood. Well, it started out as wood. It got petrified, then agatized. So, yeah, we got some rocks that turned out okay. This banded iron, this little piece right here, you can see the hematite, the polished hematite in there. Looks like polished metal. So that turned out okay. It looks like the harder rocks did okay. Softer rocks, not so well. Although this is banded iron as well, but it has a lot of Jasper in it. And it looks like the Jasper got beat up pretty bad.
Yeah. I might try retumbling some of these because I think they're going to come out really pretty. Let's see, where's another one that looked like it was giving me some trouble? I thought out at the workbench that this piece of TP Canyon wasn't going to turn out nice. I mean, it didn't feel like it had a good texture to it, but actually, the agate part is really nice. And the nodule part is not bad either. And you can see the banding in there, the fortification banding. It's got a little undercutting to it, but it's not near as bad as I thought it was. Let's see this rock here. Yeah, this is another one. It's like the brother of this one right here. It's got the same issues. It's like the Jasper in it just took a beating, and I'm not sure why. Not sure what happened with this batch. This one here, yeah, it's all beat up around the edges. This is more petrified wood. On the flatter areas, it took a pretty good polish, but it is all beat up around the edges. Kind of weird how that worked. Here's piece petrified wood. Not so beat up at all. It's got a nick out of it, but I think there was an existing fracture there. And that probably broke at some point, but it actually did okay. And, you know, even on the edges, sharper edges, it is not so beat up. So this batch was kind of weird. You know, some things worked and some things didn't. There's another piece of petrified wood. That looks really nice. Here's a piece of very, very mossy, plumy agate. I think this is a piece of a Moroccan agate. Oh, I forgot to pick the media out of that. I was going to do that. I'll set that aside and do it. It's quite translucent, as you can see. I need to face polish that agate. It's going to be gorgeous. But, yeah, so there's a piece of it. And somewhere in here, amongst all this stuff, there is a piece that I think broke off of it. And I'll find it at some point. There's too many rocks here. But, yeah. So I think this broke at some point during polishing. We have a couple of rocks that might have broke up during the polishing phase here. This is a piece of the TP Canyon, I think. And there's another piece of it in here somewhere. Oh, there's just so many rocks. But yeah, I think it broke up a little bit during polishing and maybe released some particles that made a lot of these rocks a little duller than they should be. Oh, there it is. There's the other piece of the TP Canyon hiding under that other petrified wood. Yes, it's all broken up and it's rough. This did not happen in an earlier phase of tumbling. This happened during the polish because it's rough there. Let's see this piece that was hiding the TP Canyon. This is more petrified wood, Arizona Rainbow. That turned out nice. That turned out pretty darn nice. Yeah, definitely the harder stuff in here, the more agatized stuff, came out okay. Speaking of agates, what do we got over here? Yeah, look at that. Now that's got a little bit of damage over here. Ooh, that's cool though. Wow. Look at those orbs. But yeah, it's got a little beat up over here on this side. I really think this is worth a retumble, you know? Maybe back it up to, I don't know, pre-polish or even, yeah, there's beat up over here too. Or even stage 2 and then start it over. Because this is going to be really pretty agate if I can get a decent polish on it. I'll have to sort these out into ones that need to be redone and ones that are okay. This one over here, look at that. Look at that. Yeah, I found this rock when I was out scouting for new locations to rockhound in Arizona. I could put a link to that video in the upper right. I had no idea it was going to turn out this nice. It took a pretty decent polish. Got a little bit of a haze to it, but it's not too bad, really. Yeah. The polishing, the tumbling, you know, showed up a fracture that I didn't notice was there before, but that's okay. mean, look how beautiful that is. The colors. We got every color of the rainbow in this thing, including a lot of green, which is kind of rare. And cool patterns, too. Wow. That is absolutely amazing. I'm glad this one turned out okay. Yeah, it's not beat up on the edges or anything. Yeah, it's weird how some turned out great and others didn't. This cool petrified wood from Arizona. It's pretty good. It's a little beat up on the corner right there. And a little beat up on the corner right there. On the flats, it's fine. What do we got here? We got some more banded iron. Again, this is pretty good. Yeah, the hematite's nice and polished up, shiny. And it's got a little divot right there. Huh. Graveyard point plume. This came out pretty darn good. Nice little slice of graveyard point plume. Even the relatively sharp edges, for the most part, no, that's actually smooth. That's some plume showing through. So yeah, that came out okay. Here's some more Montana. A little bit of a haze to it. But, ooh, look at that. Wow. That is so cool. That is so cool. Yeah. So just a very slight haze to the polish. Otherwise, it's fine. Let's see. This is some chert I found in Arizona, Rockhounding. It's not my best polish, but not too bad. Not too bad. Piece of banded iron here. Well, this one, just the surface texture was never going to let it take a great polish. You can see how pitted it is. But it's actually not too bad, considering the surface texture. It's thin on this side, so it's got, a few nicks in it. But they've actually smoothed out. Oh, here's another piece of that amazing petrified wood I found in Holbrook, Arizona. Just so colorful and such great patterns. And it came out okay. Even the edges are, it's got some opalescent crust on it. But even the edges, the sharp edges aren't beat up. Whereas some of these other rocks, the edges are beat up. It's weird. Yeah, this one's a little beat up there. That's some sort of brecciated jasper. Cool patterns. Very pretty. Took an okay polish. I mean, the surface you can see is a little pitted, so it was never going to be a great polish, but quite pretty. What do we got here? Some banded jasper. Yeah, the jasper did not fare well in this batch. You can see it does not have a good shine to it. It did not take a good polish. People argue with me when I tell them that jasper is softer than agate, but I'll tell you what, the agate beat the heck out of the jasper in this batch. So, you can argue with me all you want. The facts are right here. So this is possibly the weirdest piece of banded iron formation I've ever seen. I have no idea what this stuff is. But look at the crystals in there. Look at that. Look at that. And then we got a band of jasper, and then we got a band of what I think is hematite. And it's all curved around like this. I don't know. I've never seen anything like it. Found this in Wyoming. Yeah, look at this crystals. Found it in Wyoming. And never seen one like it. But this took pretty good polish. Yeah. But I think the agate and the banded iron are the hardest rocks in this batch. So I'm not really surprised that they took a good polish. Now, speaking of jaspers, though, mookite, look at that. Look at that. I think I said earlier that the mookite is pretty idiot-proof. For a jasper, it's super hard. And, basically the harder your rocks, the better of a polish they're going to take. That's just, the nature of the business of tumbling. Another piece of Montana. It's so thin over here. This edge is ragged. It broke off at some point, but look at the moss in that. Yeah, I think these Montanas are amongst the hardest agates I polish too, and they generally take a pretty good shine no matter what. It's very slight haze to it. Not perfect, but not too bad. Here's another piece. Oh yeah, the moss in that. Got a band of quartz over here. Yeah, that's not too bad a polish right there. Some more. This is a little piece of petrified wood. Just a little piece. But yeah, that took a pretty good polish. Oh yeah, here's that piece of chalcedony that I get in the Nebraska Badlands. And that's got some nice fortification banding in it. I'll be on the lookout for more of this in a couple of months when I'm out there. Look at that. A lot of it's calcite, but there's also a lot of chalcedony mixed in it, in those fault lines. Yeah, there's some more fortification. I'm always on the lookout for nice chalcedony to tumble. So that's a pretty good piece right there. Let's see, some sort of cherty nodule I found. This actually took, well, I'd say halfway decent polish on that side. Much better on this side. But this side, again, it's got a lot of pits in it. So, you know. But, yeah. So, definitely a mixed bag with this batch. We got a few bad ones. We got a few with a little haze to them. And we got quite a few with that are pretty good looking. Oh, I forgot about this Laguna agate. I have no idea what happened to this thing. My goodness. Where did all these fissures come from? It did not look like this before it went into polish. I have no clue what happened to this thing. But, look at the blood red around there. I'm definitely going to have to try retumbling this one, I think. I don't know what happened. I mean, I know that the calcite inside it here is badly undercut, but I don't know what happened to the agate outside. That's, like I said, it didn't look like this going in. Something happened. I think I just let this batch go for too long. Liquid leaked out of the drum, and the rocks were banging against each other dry, or not very wet anyway. And the softer ones took the beating. You know, some got beat up on the edges and the corners, and some just got beat up pretty much everywhere. So, yeah, like this one here. Beat up everywhere. So I think the lesson learned here is don't go away for over a month and leave your rock tumbler going in polish, okay? When 2 weeks should probably be enough. You know, and maybe check it and make sure that the level of the liquid is not going down inside. I don't know whether it was evaporation or leakage. I didn't see any leakage on the tumbler, but you never know. Ooh, look at the crystals in that. Every time I look at this from a different angle, I see more. That is an interesting rock. Anyway, so I think lessons learned. There's quite a few nice salvageable rocks in this batch, and some of them I will probably set aside, like this one, to retumble because I think it's too beautiful to not try to get it to its full glory. Yeah, unlike a lot of other channels, I don't just show you the perfection. I show you the issues and the problems along the way too, so we can all learn from them. All right, so there you go. That's this batch of rocks. Subscribe to see future batches and lots of other stuff I'm doing. And if you guys found this video at all interesting, educational, informative, inspirational, whatever, give it a like, give it a thumbs up, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks a lot for watching this one. Bye.